Dogbert, are you looking forward to this? I know I am.
Indeed, I'm just watching that breakdown of where everyone is being sent straight away. Epsilon seem to have the initial bleed on Team MAV, and I think they're actually going to lose it quite early on, which is quite a surprise. They did an initial break of 3v2, which is the initial break you're going to get in kind of majority of BF domination. I think they were actually in a stronger position. They really should have been able to take B and hold A straight off the bat, but that wasn't the case. I think they're probably going to get their hands back onto A quite quickly, but that ticket bleed straight away starting off against Epsilon, so they'll be trying to get rid of that as quick as possible, and it looks like they might even end up with the first domination cap of the game.
Yeah, now obviously you can see Umfix going in there and Winghaven, but it doesn't look like going to make it because Doobie is in there from uMAV and it looks like he's trying to capture that B point, so he managed to just hold off that domination cap, and now you can see the likes of Asterix and also Mayak and Doobie trying to defend that B point as best they can. So let's see how things are going from the point of view of the free cam. So you can see lots of battles, and you can see obviously the Chinese team, which is Epsilon, seem to be making use of the building overlooking the B point to try and attack that point, as a big explosion nearby them does them a little bit of damage, and you can see the Epsilon guys taking a bit of damage, pushing in pretty hardcore into the B point, and there we go, getting shut down very quickly. That was too easy, pushing into the point, but then all of a sudden the weather comes rolling in, and you can now see Epsilon using that and moving in towards the monument now as Winghaven gets taken down, and also there's Valu finally taking down Dookie. Brings up Winghaven, and now they're going to be trying to capture that point. There's two more of the uMAV guys moving to that point. Winghaven unfortunately taken down again, and there are two members. Oh, very nasty. Epsilon just getting shut down on that B bomb site. Not looking good for them, as we're now looking at Asterix, who's in the process of capturing that point. So it looks like you can see the likes of Winghaven now respawning in with him at the moment, and he looks to be cycling around, and looks like he's rotating over towards the C flag. So we'll just have to wait and see how that turns out. Valu also moving in to try and take that B point back, as we now move over to the likes of Mayak. He is trying to engage. Oh, lovely long distance shot onto Valu, and more fire going into the B point. Winghaven then taken down as well. This is some seriously good accurate fire coming in from the uMAV guys, and Epsilon on the back foot at the moment, wouldn't you say?
No, I don't actually.
Okay.
I think Epsilon are actually in a strong position here. UMB really should have moved much quicker to the A point where they had the chance. Instead, they have ended up going for a hold at B and C, but unfortunately, because of where Epsilon spawned, they ended up very, very close to B and very, very close to C. C was completely left open, and MAV really were not in a position to defend it. They should have moved quicker to get something to A. Unfortunately, they didn't, and this has left them once again with the bleed against them.
Now you can see, obviously, as we look at the flags, you can see now the bleed is against uMAV, and they're holding that monument point. The C point near the aerial is in the process of being pushed pretty heavily by the uMAV, and now you can see the defensive points of the Chinese team. That is Epsilon. They're making use of the balconies, they're making use of the hard cover that is available to them, so they can look down onto the B-bomb site, and things are looking interesting thus far, with the ticket bleed now equaling out. So you can see the C point and the B point now in the process of being captured, and there we go. They very, very quickly had almost literally a very, very quick total cap out there on Epsilon, and that's quite a surprise, I have to say.
Epsilon here seem to be holding on to their flags quite well. UMB are moving one man usually behind to try and get a sneaky cap, but where it matters, which seems to be the B flag, Epsilon seem to be getting it locked down quite a lot. Unfortunately, I say that, and I must be cursing players so bad, because whenever I say that they pretty much have anything locked down, that usually ends up with them getting killed. So the B flag is a very difficult one to take, but it is the most important. Epsilon seem to be favouring the house between B and A. That seems to where they hold their defence, and that seems to be a good bet because you can spot, and that's what they're using this quite a lot for. They're using that position to spot people coming in so they can rotate their defence according to wherever uMV are putting the pressure on, and that seems to be at C right now. They seem to basically just be holding B as a defensive flag.
Yeah, now obviously you can see the fire. We can tell, looking on one of the uMAV guys, that's Asterix doing his best to try and defend that point. He's popping out nades left, right and centre. More fire coming in, more gets taken down as he tries to push in towards that B bomb site. But obviously what you've got is you've got two members of Epsilon. They are... oh, Asterix going absolutely airborne with a fantastic double twist and triple Salco there.
Unfixed there with a very important kill. He really needed to get that pick off at the B flag so they could even approach it. If he hadn't done that, they would have found themselves in a position of being completely and utterly full capped. So for Epsilon's point of view, Unfixed there has really saved them from a very, very awkward ticket bleed. But I'm saying that now, and it looks like uMV have already put the pressure onto C, and they're already coming into Epsilon's house to give them a bit of rumble.
Whose house? No, sorry, I can't say that. I can't say that with a straight face because we could not possibly be any whiter if we fell in a bucket of emulsion. But you can now see obviously Mort and the Epsilon defensive house, I suppose you could say, being looked after by these guys. So they're obviously, that, like you said, that house is a really advantageous spot because it gives them quick access to B and to A as well. And you can see C is in the process of being contested. Now let's follow Dookie PT. He's trying to engage some of the Epsilon guys, and I have to say Epsilon doing a great job of holding that particular building to give them that advantage against uMAV. Now 20 tickets is the only difference between both of these teams. This is close, and you can see now that Epsilon has changed it up, and you can see them now overlooking the point from the other building. And now more spam going in and more nades going in as Winghaven gets taken down pushing the C point. And now we're following Mort as he's making his way over. There we go, taking a little bit of fire. Mort unfortunately gets shut down as he's trying to push in towards the C point. And now we're looking at Valutaja, who is in the process. You can notice now that what happened is it looks like Epsilon lost that building in between A and B, and they immediately then moved over to the other building by the side of C and B, and maybe changing up their strategy to push towards those 2 points rather than A and B. What's your thoughts on that, Dogbert?
Epsilon are going to make a push at A here. They want to get control of the house between A and B, which is obviously Epsilon's building of choice right now, but they know that uMV are holding that quite well. So what they're going to try and do is get a capture of A, and then they're going to try and hold B, but uMV are not going to make it easy for them. They're going to come into B now, while Epsilon are trying to take A, and if Doobie here can manage to pick up these Epsilon players, then Epsilon are going to find themselves in a really awkward position.
Well, they're going to find themselves in an even more awkward position because they're down one man, and it looks like it may be, let's see, Unfixed. Unfixed has dropped from the server, so now, unfortunately, this is going to be a serious problem. We could be talking about a total cap-out, a domination cap-out here onto Epsilon, which is exactly what's happened, and now they've got to turn that burn around as quickly as they can. This is a serious problem for Epsilon. Can they get Unfixed back on the server as quickly as possible? This could be a bit of a turning point as far as Epsilon are concerned here, Dogbert. So
it is indeed, but it's really unfortunate for Epsilon to be losing that player. If there's one thing competitive players hate is thinking that you've got an advantage or a win based off something like that. Competitive players like to have even games, and they hate it when little technical issues like that get in the way. But that hasn't stopped Unfixed from coming straight back into the game and getting himself a kill. So we're going to see how Epsilon react to being on the back foot for the first time in the game.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see what's going on. Unfixed, unfortunately, taken down with the Ace-23. Now, on uMAV Reactor, you can see there the Epsilon guys looking to push the C point. And you can see, obviously, Epsilon also moving into one of their defensive buildings, returning fire, and that was Epsilon Unfixed returning fire onto that point. So you can see
Epsilon
the A point.
here are going to make a big push onto C. They're going to throw everyone they have into this, with maybe one holding back at B. uMV Doobie managed to take down 2 people at C, which was very important, because if they hadn't done that, the ticket bleed would have been stopped prematurely, and now it's all down to this. So if Epsilon can make a big play at C, one of their players is going to come around the back here, and that is... I can't see who that is, but it is someone. So it looks like Too Easy was managed to come around the back there of the UMB defenders and have cleaned up at C. So that puts a ticket bleed back into Epsilon's favour. Now the way that UMB should be responding to this is put all on pressure onto B, but they seem to be very reluctant to do so, and that might end up being a very big mistake.
Now, let's have a look at that bleed, because now the bleed is back onto the US side. They are at 81 tickets. You can see 50 tickets for China. This is very close indeed. And obviously, hopefully, you know, Epsilon are going to be hoping that they can come back from that unfortunate drop of unfixed from the server. Now you can see the B point in the process of being captured. And you can see fire coming in from one of the buildings in between A and B, which is where uMAV are in the process of trying to defend. You've also got a defender of the B point. There's Asterix in there as well. He's trying to defend against... You can see essentially what's happening, as far as I can see, is that the Epsilon guys are trying to get a nice little pick onto the defender of the B. There we go. Looks like a back raise coming in from Epsilon. And now you can see Mort there pushing that point, trying to get some spam grenades into there, take the guys out of that building so that they can actually secure the passage between the A and the B bomb site. So the point in the process of being captured at the moment. Nade comes in onto Mort. He manages to avoid it.
Holding spawns right now, which is really confusing. They're really, at this point, especially they've all respawned now, and they respawn near the house. But really what they should have been doing is spreading out as much as possible. They already had the ticket bleed. They already had the ticket advantage. All they need to do at this point really is play musical flags. They do not need to be standing going toe to toe in these firefights. They just need to get that ticket bleed going and form up a line of defense around them. But instead they've been letting Epsilon get all around them and start to get the ticket bleed against them, which is really what they didn't need. They really need at this point to get that ticket bleed and hold it for the next, like, just another minute. That's all they need. They need to get as many tickets as they can to go into the next round.
Now, you're looking at the difference in tickets. It looks like the A and the B point are now actually being contested. And I noticed for a brief period, Epsilon had a full bleed of tickets, a total domination cap out there on the opposing team. Now the question is whether or not they can turn that around with 21 tickets remaining to 50. This is going to be interesting to see how Epsilon go. There we go. They've now got the bleed back onto the US team. But the question is, will 21 tickets be enough in order to take down the remaining 46 tickets of the US side, as most of the fire and fun is going on around the B point? So
it's all down to Too Easy here. He needs to clear them up a bit. If he doesn't, then they are going to lose this round. There's a mass spawn of Epsilon on top of Too Easy in Epsilon's house, and they're pushing into B, which is what they need. They need to clear that out right now, otherwise the ticket bleed is going to go against them. Too Easy is still cleaning up in there. He's took down 3. He managed to get taken down eventually by Dookie, but the rest of the Epsilon have had enough time to get involved, but that didn't stop Dookie from clearing up 3 people and basically giving this round to UMV. God damn
uMAV. Just say uMAV.
uMAV. There we go. I can't believe I even got it wrong in the first place.
Congratulations on learning to speak the English language. Anyway.
uMAV.
Yeah. uMAV because you bad. Yeah, I know.
But there you go. Epsilon lose the first round of this tournament to uMAV.
So, that was a very interesting, and I think really unfortunate for Epsilon that they lost Unfix part of the way through that. Do you think it would have been even closer had Unfix not dropped from the server?
It's very hard to say, but you would have to say that it would have done a lot better if they were a full 5-man. I would like to bring attention there to Doobie and Dookie, because Dookie basically gave them the win at the very end. Too Easy had went on a good kill streak, and he managed to almost hold B when it was very critical that they get as many people onto that flag as possible. But Dookie managed to clean up 3 people, and that basically gave them the win in the first round on Parcel Storm.
So, the amount of tickets, was it 34, I think it was?
It was 37 tickets in favour of
uMAV.
God, uMAV. I will not say it wrong again.
Oh dear. uMAV. Ladies and gentlemen, you're literally watching a man deteriorate live on Twitch. What can I say? It's happened to all of us. What can I say?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So anyway.
As we're coming into this game, obviously they have a slight ticket advantage, but that's something that obviously go against them very quickly. They need to work out how they're going to put this spread down. Now, they really need to go for A, because Epsilon are going to be all over it. So it's going to be the rush for the house between A and B here quite early on. So how much are they going to commit to the A and B flags. They're committing 4 people to B and only 1 to A. They're not even going for A. They're going to let Epsilon have that. So the initial ticket bleed will be in Epsilon's favour.
Yeah, definitely looking that way at the moment. Now, you've obviously got one guy who's over here, who's basically just almost scouting out that A point as Epsilon are moving from there. And you can see obviously now that Epsilon are going to start moving towards that house, as the ASC point is being guarded by a single member of Epsilon, and the A point also being guarded. And you can see Epsilon still probing the defences of that B point and the house. Oh, look at that, Ace 23 into Asterix as well. And now you can see the A point being pushed pretty hard by the uMAV team. However, they've lost a certain number of them, and now this is going to be an interesting situation, because this could be the opportunity that Epsilon are looking for to push in and possibly get that A point, as unfortunately Value gets taken down by Doobie at the A point, and now he looks like he's going to be trading fire with Too Easy. Too Easy gets taken down by Mayek, and now let's see what's going on, as the point, there we go, has now been captured by the Chinese team. The bleed is onto the US team, so now it is the turn of Epsilon to turn this around and get the bleed away from them. Dogbert.
uMAV are going to come into B here, and they need to clear this up really quickly. The ticket bleed has obviously been against them. Epsilon had a nice spawn to the southeast, just near the B spawn, and that's why they're on top of it right now. uMAV are all over it, but they're not picking them off because Epsilon are in cover. The ticket bleed goes back in the favour of Epsilon, and they are going to be going all on C now, while uMAV are still busy trying to clear up B. So the ticket bleed is going to stay in the favour of Epsilon.
Now you can see obviously as the weather starts blusteringly coming in, you can see now that they're starting to push in towards the B point. Now a member of Epsilon going down at the B point, the other guy's trying to stay alive as best he can. He's popping out the med bags, and now you can see the bleed. Oh, Value going flying. Definitely a 9.1 for that manoeuvre, and now we're waiting to see what's going on, as you can see the bleed now back in the favour of uMAV, and Epsilon obviously down a few on numbers. Let's see what's going on, as we can now see Value as in respawned. So let's follow him as he pushes in towards that point. They're going to try and capture that point. They're watching those buildings overlooking the B point, checking from the left. You can hear the nades coming in. Now, oh, more nades coming in. Looks like Value's got to run for it. There we go. He eats the nade, takes a little bit of health pack, and now he's going to be trying to move into one of those buildings to try and ensure that they can defend that point against the incoming uMAV team. And you can see Winghaven and...
Winghaven's been calling for assistance because 3 people from the Epsilon team have been making their way up to C. This leaves B very open for uMAV, and they'll take full advantage of that. I think maybe Epsilon overcommitted to getting people back on C when they should have probably just held B and maybe gone for push onto A. Either way, the ticket bleed is still in the favour of Epsilon. Is now against Epsilon, but they still have a ticket advantage right now.
Yeah, they only have a 18 ticket advantage, but what you just saw there was a push by 3 members of uMAV into the C point, being defended by 2 members of Epsilon, and they got pretty effectively shut down. And so that was a good play there. That was 3 members of Epsilon pushing into the C point to try and take it away from the enemy team, and it's being defended by a single member. That is Dookie PT taking down Mort as he tries to push into the point, and that's not looking good there for Epsilon, as they were unable to secure that C point. Dogbert.
Epsilon have been committing too much to the attack on C when A was very much open to them. They've realised that mistake now, and they're going to take A, but they really, really should have been rotating much quicker to attack the least defended flag. Luckily for them, Unfix has been holding up at least 3 members of uMAV over at C, which has given Epsilon the chance to capture A and keep B, so now the ticket bleed is back in their favour, and that's really what they need at this point.
Now, obviously, you can see a little bit of fire being traded between what looks to be Too Easy over by the A point, and a pushing coming in. There's Asterix taken down, exploding gas canisters, but they're getting 2 kills. That was a really important kill as far as Too Easy was concerned. He means that he's actually broken any attempts by uMAV to push that A point, meaning that it should be hopefully easier for them to secure and hold that B point. but we should just have to wait and see, because the C point's still under the control of Epsilon, and this is still all to play for. 133 versus 140, so this is still all to play for. And now you can see obviously the bleed against the US team, against Epsilon at the moment, and they need to turn it around, and Epsilon are down to 4 people again.
They're having no luck on that front at the moment. Luckily, I would say for uMAV have been rotating correctly, so even though there might have been a drop there from Epsilon, that isn't the critical factor on why they are behind right now. I don't think it'll be too long before Winghaven is back in the game.
He's back.
It looks like Epsilon, after they had been taken out, have been able to respawn on the southeast, which seems to be a regular spawn near the B flag, and they will most likely be able to take that and put the bleed back in their favour. While majority of uMAV players are still trying to just clear out the houses.
Yeah, so a little bit of urban combat going on as one member of Epsilon taken down in the Epsilon house. That's pretty much what it's going to be called now, as far as I can see. So you can see, there we go, Winghaven taken down, got caught by crossfire coming in from the uMAV guys. There's Mayek being taken down on the B point, and obviously we've got Reacto down there as well, trading a little bit of fire with Valu. Valu comes in, drills him from behind, and now he's going to be able to move into that point and take the B, or make sure the B point is remaining in the ownership of Epsilon. So currently the bleed 118 to 113 tickets, the bleed in favour of Epsilon. This is turning out to be a pretty serious game going on here, Dogbert.
It's really good. uMAV are maybe a bit slow to react to the fact that a flag is lost and they need to switch up their attack. They're doing it correctly there, but there is a bit of hesitation between those players. When they should be moving a lot quicker to just contest or at least possibly take a flag. Epsilon, on the other hand, are not having that problem. The only time that they get stopped when they attack a flag is when they all get killed.
Now we're watching Unfixed, as he looks like he's going to be trying to capture that C point, but there's quite a few members of uMAV who are defending that. Nades are coming out. Unfixed, having trouble. Double nade being sent in his direction. He got taken down. Now we'll move over to see how Valu's getting on. Valu's finished off too easy, the last man standing. He's trying to capture that A point away from the enemy team, but he's taken down. So that was essentially an almost total wipe there for Epsilon. That's not looking good for them. And you can see now 99 tickets for Epsilon, 104 tickets for uMAV, and now you can see Mort and friends trying to push into that point, being defended by, wow, Reacto literally took down...
Reacto there basically was a massive clutch play. That stops dead Epsilon's push onto C, and that gives uMAV the first domination cap they've had of the game against a full 5-man Epsilon team. So that is really, really good plays. Not only just that, but Doobie also took out Too Easy when he was making a push onto A. So that is 2 big pushes from Epsilon, which have been completely shut down by clutch plays of individual players from uMAV.
Yeah, uMAV Reacto going totally awesome there, and shutting down those 3 members of Epsilon as they tried to push in towards that point. And we're now watching Reacto as he's moving down. Looks like he's going to be taking a little bit of an aggressive push down towards the A bomb site. Going to run into Epsilon Too Easy, who drills him very quickly, revenges his teammate, and let's see if we can follow in with Too Easy as he's pushing in towards the next point. So you can see him checking the corners, checking the area. You can see the nades coming in. He's about to be attacked from both directions. Takes down Juki PT, pops in the reload, but unfortunately gets killed as he goes for the reload. 69 tickets to 91, so currently the bleed in favour of the US team. The tickets slowly being bled out from the Chinese team, so uMAV got to try and turn it around as quickly as they possibly can. Let's follow DMEC. No, let's not. Let's find out what Unfixed is up to. You can see there, spotting Asterix as he goes down by the B-bomb site, and now he's going to try and move in and ensure that that point is not taken, moving in, and now looking and seeing what's going on at the A point. The A point is now being contested by the uMAV guys, so Unfixed moving in that general direction, and you can see obviously another attempt there to capture the point. I think Epsilon did to uMAV what uMAV did to Epsilon earlier and shut down the push onto C.
Indeed, Epsilon managed to shut down, Too Easy Epsilon shut down 2 people coming into C, while uMAV had probably overcommitted to A and probably put far too many people trying to take that flag. But obviously that takes nothing away from Too Easy. He managed to clean up what would have been a very strong push and a critical push at this point in the game to uMAV. So uMAV here are finding themselves behind again in the game. Obviously, they still have a 37 ticket lead from the first game, but they need to get a grip here, and they need to make sure they get the bleed in their favour near the end of the last round of this map.
Yeah, now obviously, you know, all the tickets add together, so it just, for whatever reason they were to lose this round by a certain amount of tickets, those tickets will be carried over to the next map, and obviously they will all be added up at the end of it. Now I noticed that 2 members of uMAV got taken down at the A point, and I think that was courtesy of Mr. Unfixed. And yet again, it looks like the B and the C points now flashing as uMAV Doobie is up by the C point, and he is defending that for all he is worth, as it looks like temporarily they may have a quick... yeah, there we go, the US bleed back onto the Chinese team, and now you can see Doobie in a position where he has got to defend against multiple members of Epsilon coming in that general direction. So let's see what's going on. As you can see, Winghaven being taken down very quickly. We'll move over to Duke PT as he's pushing in. He's taking fire from Epsilon. There we go. He gets taken down. Looks like he's traded. And Reacto now pushing in towards the A bomb site, and you can see him doing his thing. Also, obviously, in that house between the A and the B bomb site, using it for cover as best they can. And 60 tickets to 24. The Chinese team, this is a real turnaround for the books as far as Epsilon are concerned. They've managed to turn it around and hold that bleed for long enough to actually get the difference in tickets. 58 tickets to 19, and Winghaven taking down Reacto at the A point.
It all comes down to the battle at A here, with Epsilon Winghaven here just cleaning up 2 players from uMAV. This is pretty much probably secured Epsilon, the first map, as they will probably win this with above 37 points. uMAV here really in the last 3 minutes have kind of fallen apart. They were split pushing and doing what they should very effectively originally, but that seems to have slowly but surely crumbled. Epsilon have been able to put the right people in the right place at the right time, but more importantly have never been over-committing too much.
Now, obviously, you can see Epsilon moving in towards the C point, as it looks to be only a single uMAV member defending that. He's being attacked or being pushed from 2 directions by multiple members. Here, there we go. He gets taken down, and the point is then going to be captured. But unfortunately, behind them, you can see the 2 points being captured. Now, it's looking like we may have a difference of about 54, possibly 52 tickets. So a good margin as far as Epsilon are concerned, and they managed to turn it round despite losing the first round, and also obviously having multiple disconnection problems. So definitely looking good for the next map, wouldn't you say?
Indeed, it's very good for Epsilon to actually get a lead on this, because to be honest, if you come down with a significant ticket loss in the first map, it's it messes with your head. It really does get in to your mindset of you gotta force the issue a lot more than you might have had to do originally. So there you go, that's Epsilon winning with 46. That beats out uMB's 37 points on the first map.
Wow, that is close, I have to say. So that's what, a total of 9 tickets maybe, I think, is it?
Yeah, there's very little in it. Obviously Epsilon must be happy with that, but at the same time there were some very risky moments there where uMAV, to be honest, were outplaying them.
Yeah, and they that was some serious. I have to say, what's your thoughts about the comeback? What was it about Epsilon's strategy that enabled them to pull back from the brink of possibly losing that second round?
Well, what gave uMAV the win in the first one was a lot of very clutch plays near the very end of the game, which gave them a lot of critical flag points, especially around B. That started to happen in the last game, but it also ended up being a lot tighter and better rotations out of Epsilon. Maybe a lot clearer goals from the Epsilon team. While I think uMAV maybe were second guessing on where Epsilon were going. Instead of playing their game, they started to play Epsilon's game.
Interesting. And now we're on to Lankang Dam, and the countdown is just finishing. The question is, I think, are we going to have a break, or are we going to be going straight into it, is the question.
I don't think there's such a thing as a break in these kind of things. I think they are pretty much going to let everyone get into the game, and then they are going to start. So there'll probably be a restart again in a few seconds.
Most likely. As we can see, Dukey PT in the process of shooting inanimate objects, so I'm guessing that it's not actually officially underway yet. So Yeah, this is Lankang Dam. Now, obviously, talk us through this map. I mean, obviously, we were playing some of this earlier, and where are the choke points as far as you're concerned? Because one thing we saw when we were watching Exetus play, I'd love to fly inside the building, but I can't get through the bloody glass. Is that you saw them defending some of those stairwells that led to the sky bridge, for example, that was pointing towards the laboratory at A, and then also to the research area at C. So would you say that holding B is the most important point to hold, or holding one of the side points A or C is a better option?
Depending on which side. So I guess the Russians will be starting closer to C, with the Chinese spawning much closer to A. So at this point, really, Russians are going to get C very quickly, and the Chinese will probably eventually get to A, but by that point you'll probably be finding Russian players all over B. So it pretty much comes down to the big battle around B, but at that point I believe that the Russians probably have a better defensive position. So I'd say this map probably favours the Russian team. Okay. Unless I've got the spawn points completely incorrect, which is very possible.
Now, one thing you didn't see on previous matches, I think when Exeter's played this, is you didn't see a lot of rooftop play. Now, obviously, up the top you have those skylights enabling you to drop onto the roof, but you don't really see anybody actually going above the area of the roof. It's pretty much mostly floor work and ground floor and first floor has pretty much been where all the action has occurred, Dogbert.
It has indeed, and I think roof play is probably not going to be as useful as I may have thought at the beginning. I think the game is so fast and fluid that you really need to be getting into the flag points, so it stops it becoming too much of a roof camping game.
Indeed, yes. Now, can you just remind the viewers of the scores from the last map and what the current ticket difference is moving into this map?
The tickets at the moment are 37 points to uMAV and a 46-point lead for Team Epsilon.
So there you go, boys and girls. That is what we're looking at as we move into Lankang Dam. And ladies and gentlemen, it's time to game on. So let's see what the teams do, and you can see now that the two teams have actually not spawned that far apart from each other, and they're actually engaging each other before they can even move into the point. So, and unfortunately, yeah, they've lost too easy already, and Unfixed going in with a pistol, the 93R pistol, and they've restarted the round again. Okay.
Yeah, I think they had to restart considering that it's a bit nasty to lose someone that early on in the game.
Yeah, it is rather. Oh dear me. Yeah, those spawns were interesting to say the least. So these two spawns, as you can see at the moment, you've got spawn, let's just show you, spawn down there behind cover, and spawn over here by the radar. So rather interesting. Whether or not there's been a change to that, I don't know whether or not the other team should spawn over the other side. What's your thoughts about the spawns on this map, Dogbert?
I definitely feel that the Chinese are very much out in the open while the Russians are much closer to cover. So I definitely feel that this map is a Russian-favoured map. There's always a possibility that one team could manage to land some very good nades at the beginning, wiping them out, but I think it's very unlikely to happen very often.
Well, the good old Jesus nade from COD 4 is a possibility, and you can see them trying to engage the Epsilon players as they move in, and unfortunately you can see Winghaven being taken down. Now, as you said before, it looks like the Russian team are obviously closer to one of the buildings, so they can get under cover very quickly. And let's see if we can follow in with the likes of Unfixed, as he's now moving in towards the point. So, taking a little bit far from the left hand side, pops out the med pack, and now he's going to be pushing that point, so you can see. Let's find out. Let's watch Mayek. So Mayek in there at the moment. Now let's see if it's no, it's not going to show the player cards. So we're watching Mayek at the moment. You can see him there making his way around this point. Now let's see if we can actually zoom in. No, we can't zoom in the flipping mini-map. That was a shame. So you can see him. He's guarding the B point at the moment. And there we go. Looks like Winghaven moving in behind, taking down his teammate Asterix. But then also Mayek being taken down. So it looks like a quick attempt there as uMAV Reactor is pushing in towards the C point, trying to take down multiple members. Out come the nade. So Epsilon taking a little bit of pressure on the C point. And as you can see now, China...
Epsilon taking a full cap completely. Whoa. I mean, uMAV were caught completely out of position, and more importantly, they really didn't know where to react there. Epsilon were peeking into B, but that wasn't the main thrust of their attack. C was where they were pushing in with 3 guys. They only had 1 in the stairwell, but that was too easy, and he was tying down 3 people from uMAV. Meanwhile, Reload, or his new name is Val Hadya, he was just capturing C while these people were too busy trying to find out where Too Easy was.
Sorry, do you want to say that again? I didn't quite catch.
I can't say Reload's new name.
Valutaja is how I...
Has a J at the end.
Yeah, Valutaja. I just call him Valu. It's just easier in that way.
Valu is his new name from now on.
There we go. So, yeah. What can I say? So you can now see Too Easy going under a little bit of cover as he's taking a little bit of fire. So you see the nade as he's pushing around, as it looks like he's trading fire with Asterix. Unfortunately, comes a cropper. And now you can see the points currently being held with the bleed onto the Chinese team. That is Too Easy and Team Epsilon. And the question is, what are they going to do to turn that around? So you can see, obviously, Valu in there. It looks like he's transferring from one location to another. And you can see him now taking it carefully, working together with Too Easy. Too Easy goes down nearby, which means that Valu knows that there are enemies nearby and has to wait it out for support. He's not going to go in for that possible revive because that was out in the open and would be a severe risk to him and also a lost ticket. And he sneaks up behind Asterix, moving in towards the point, going against Reacto as well. Can he get a pick onto them? Out goes the nades from Valu. He's pretty low on health, but then unfortunately gets jumped and his opposing number gets taken down. As, oh, look at that, Mort coming in and then managing to take down the enemy, tried to get a revive, and it looks like the points are now back in the favour of, let's see, the Russian team.
It's what goes on at A now is going to be very important. C is eventually going to be overrun by uMAV unless Mort and Unfix can do some really crazy plays, but they are going to have another full domination cap once again, and that is slowly but surely going to put them in commanding position in this second map.
Yeah, now obviously, look at that Russian tickets dropping like a stone. Now obviously Doobie and friends from uMAV are going to get in there and try and turn that around. As you can see, uMAV, Doobie taking some fire from Mort. He drills Mort very quickly, goes up against Unfixed. Unfixed takes him down, and let's see if we can lock in on Unfixed. Is he going to try and revive his teammate? He is! And unfortunately comes a cropper, gets shot in the face and is no more. So we're now looking Winghaven as he's looking down towards the lobby, checking to see. Now that's interesting, there is actually a guy over there on top of the roof. And so a little bit of roof play and a bit of skylight work going on. As you can see, the C point being held by the Russian team, the B point being held by the Russian team, and now the bleed is back onto the Chinese team, and Epsilon have to try and get one of these points back as quickly as they possibly can, as we're looking at obviously Too Easy running into a little bit of trouble. Oh, down goes Dookie PT. And lovely shot. Now that's interesting. One thing you did see there is use of shooting the fire extinguishers outside the doorway to mask their entry and exit. That's something I've seen Phantom do from Exitus earlier in one of the other matches. And this is using the environment to the best of your ability. And there are fire extinguishers all over the map. So this is an opportunity you need to try and take out. If Epsilon can clean up Mort here, they're going to capture,
they're going to hold B, but they need to clean up Winghaven really quickly before Mort spawn, and they do. This is really important. Unfortunately, Epsilon have already got people into C, so what uMAV need to do is rotate and capture A. But if they start suckering in too many people to go to C and get cleaned up, then they're going to find themselves once again on the back foot.
Now we're looking at Reacto at the moment. There we go. It looks like Reacto is obviously squad leader and is setting the attack points, as you can see. So he is telling the enemy, or telling his team, where he wants them to focus their attention, where he wants them to move to. So we're watching Reacto at the moment. He's checking his corners, checking the areas where he knows the enemy are going to come. Obviously you've got a magnetic detector behind them, or metal detector, so he'll know if anyone's sneaking up behind him.
Epsilon need to hurry up here because uMAV at the moment have a full domination cap on you, and if you're watching it slowly but surely, the tickets are dropping very, very quickly.
Oh, yeah, Unfixed taken down by Mike there, and now we're looking at Mort. Now it looks like Mort is up in a little peekaboo situation, and looks like, there we go, so we're looking at Winghaven. He's now in there recapturing the A point, so they've got that bleed off. They've lost about 14 tickets as a result of that full domination cap, and now we're moving with Doobie. As you can see, Doobie going to get Reacto back up and running, as this particular area here seems to be pretty good as a main point of ingress and egress as far as the teams are concerned. So Asterix spawning on Doobie, in comes a nade, looks like you're going to try and eat that with a little bit of a health bag, as he's just waiting to see what happens. There we go, down goes the health bag as he looks like Mort's coming in. Mort gets taken down very quickly by Doobie, and you can see, oh dear, runs into Unfixed and Valu. Unfixed gets taken down, and Valu then revives him very quickly. And you can see now the bleed is on Epsilon again. They're down to 84 tickets.
They still haven't got a flag. They've been fighting around B for a long, long time, but they didn't get into the position to capture the flag. They're going to take it now, but that bleed has been going on for a really long time. To be honest, uMAV should have been able to lock them down and be a lot faster than they did. Epsilon were always at least one man still alive around B for a really long time, but for some reason or another, uMAV were really not spawning in the right places. Some of them were spawning randomly when there were people still on the B flag. So this is going to be Epsilon holding A and B, and they think they are going to hold it for a good period of time.
Now, you can see the B point starting to flash already. That's obviously courtesy of Mr. Mayek, who's down there and working together with Reacto. And it looks like, that could explain part of the issue, is it looks like, unfortunately, the uMAV guys have lost a member off of their team. They are down by 1 at the moment. So, unfortunately, when it turns out, the luck is not on either side of the teams today, Dogbert.
It might not be on uMAV's side, but that's not stopping them from taking B from a 5-man Epsilon squad here. And there's the ticket bleed against Epsilon once again, and that is just really, really good level play. They are 4 against 5 right now, but they still have pushed Epsilon out of B, and now they have a ticket bleed back in their favour. Mort here, I think, is going to be the guy that stops the bleed. He's going to go into C, and it will be a one-on-one against him and Doobie. Say that's a lie because Winghaven has spawned, and that's a 2v1 situation. Epsilon should clean that up quite quickly, and they have. So that is C, and that is probably going to go in the favour of Epsilon quite quickly. So it's all down to what happens at B here. uMAV have an advantage. They've cleaned up there, so the B is now clear. What do? Do they try and mass spawn onto C, which is what they're doing? So that's 3 men going onto C now. That'll be Mort and Too Easy. Too Easy goes down. Unfixed respawns. Will it be a 2v2 situation? Here it is. Unfixed is still alive. He's probably going to revive his teammate. So it's all on how much players are going to commit into C here, and I probably think that MAV have probably put too many people into C. That's 4 people on C against a 2-man. Meanwhile, Epsilon have cleaned up a B and are now holding the ticket bleed against them.
Now, obviously, we're watching as GQPT making his way over. We thought he was going to move in towards that B point. There we go, running into Unfixed. Unfixed drills him very quickly. And now we're looking at Too Easy in the B point. Obviously, they're trying to defend from all comers, taken down from the right-hand side. And now we're watching as Unfixed is trying to take anybody out in that area in the B point. And you can see a little bit of fire coming in as GQPT very nicely takes down Mort. And now you can see, let's have a look, 50 tickets to 71. The bleed now against China yet again with Winghaven, the last man standing. We're watching him at the moment. He's going to try, he takes down GQPT with a little bit of payback. And now you can see the other members of Epsilon respawning and moving in towards the point. 41 tickets to 71. This is turning out to be a pretty intense game and fantastic to watch, I have to say.
It's a brilliant game. Epsilon need to get a hold of B here. They need to stop wasting time trying to pick off one player who's not even good. But no, one player just took out 2 of them. Asterix there cleaning up. That is clutch plays at this point in the game. Epsilon need to be less wasting time with the one player in the outside that can't stop them capturing B. And he's kind of another one. Asterix is cleaning up here. Eventually gets taken down by Winghaven, and it's given enough time for Epsilon to get their players into B and capture it. I think really that is a bad move by uMAV. They really should have been holding on to B a lot tighter, especially given the fact that Asterix was dropping significant amount of Epsilon players there.
Yeah, great plays there by Asterix, and he obviously tying up Epsilon, trying to maybe pull their focus away from that point so that he can do whatever damage. Obviously, each of those kills, each of those tickets going to slowly affect them over the course of time. 21 tickets to 58. I think it's fair to say that uMAV have the advantage, Winghaven being taken down, and that's not looking good for Epsilon, as you can see. Let's move in with Unfixed as we is now pushing in towards the... let's just see, I think that's the C point there, as now they're pushing down towards B. Lots of spam going in, nades going in left, right and centre. Domination capture has been achieved, and now we're looking at 15 tickets to 54 with the bleed in the favour of the Chinese team, which is Epsilon. So at this current moment, as we're watching Asterix move in, he gets shut down by 2 members of Epsilon defending that A point. And oh, this is interesting. Now this is, I don't know if you've noticed this, but it looks like Epsilon have suddenly moved to a defensive position. They're trying to defend A and they're trying to defend C and keep the bleed on the enemy team. Dogbert.
Epsilon are defending completely not defending. They're going all out here. They're going to get as many kills as they can right now. They know they're behind, and the best way that they can even bring these tickets down is to go all aggressive. They're going to try and get the revives, but unfortunately in Domination it's not really worth it, so they're just going to try and hold B and C. And that's where the main effort is going to be. If B goes down here, Epsilon are going to lose this round.
Now,
uMAV only have to get into the flag zone. As long as they can clean up B,
too easy! Oh, Too Easy going with a nice clutch kill. 3 kills in succession by Too Easy. That's cutting down the amount of tickets available to uMAV, but they're on 31 tickets and the bleed is still in the favour of Epsilon. They're down to 5 tickets at the moment. These guys are going to have to be so careful.
To A. They just need to hold C and get someone to A, but they've already done it. Winghaven managed to take down Reactor before he could get over there now, so it's all down to if Epsilon can get someone and take out C before it gets taken away.
So let's see what's going on.
Capture A, they will hold B. It's what they might actually be able to bring the tickets down to a victory with only 4 tickets left. It's very possible right now.
Now, we're watching Valu at the moment. He's taken down Reactor recently, and you can see them now possibly going for it. They nearly went for a full domination cap, as there we go. You can see him firing into there. Duke VPT taken down, and Reactor trading fire with Valu. And there we go. Too Easy gets taken down.
They're going to do it. They're going to come from a massive behind, and they are going to win this round. They just need to not give away any silly deaths and just let the ticket bleed do its work.
Oh, look at that. They're down to 1 ticket. It's 5 versus 1 ticket. This is the...
just need to hide right now. They do not need to let them do anything. The ticket bleed will win the game for them. They just need to hold.
Oh, look at that. It's down to 2 tickets, 1 ticket, 1 ticket, 1 ticket. Holy crap.
Epsilon win it with a very, very close finish there. They did exactly what they had to do. They were behind. They had to get killed. They needed to get the bleed in favour, but more importantly, they needed to not get sloppy and let uMAV get kills on them. That's what they did. That was brilliant play, and they knew. They didn't panic. They reacted correctly, and they take the first round in the second map.
Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly why we're here. Games like that, this is what we want to see in Battlefield 4. That was absolutely glorious. A fantastic, fantastic play by both teams. Obviously, Epsilon coming out the winner by 1 ticket. By 1 ticket. It was so close. And it was just fantastic play. The uMAV guys just... fantastic, really, really superb. Have to say, obviously they were hurt a little bit by losing 1 person during the course of that particular battle, but we shall be moving on to the next round very shortly, and then this is going to be very interesting, I have to say. Now, total difference in tickets standing as it is at the moment. Dogbert, where are we?
We are lead with Epsilon with 47 tickets. They won the previous round with 46, and now they are 47 to 37 in the lead.
Wow. Now, this, based on... Now, the thing is, this, based on how things occurred, is going to make things very interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing what's happening. Now, obviously, the teams, Epsilon now in as Russia, they will have the advantage, possibly, of getting to that position. China, the uMAV guys, I'm pretty sure that those are the same side, so they're probably going to do maybe a restart. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens. So the next round promises to be an absolute nail-biter, Dogbert.
It does indeed. That game was really, really, really close. I'm sure I think we are live here. I think they are going to go for a live game here. So it's going to be the standard. The B is the flag that they really, really want. But it looks like uMAV are going to be the ones doing the sneaky push onto C here. It's all down to Mort really being able to hold on at C. If he can, then this puts Epsilon with a good ticket bleed for a while.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, look at that. Oh, that was fantastic. PT came in, literally looked straight at Mort, drilled him very quickly with a shot fired into him, and it looks like then that the bleed is now onto Epsilon almost immediately there. Great play there by Dookie PT for the uMAV guys, and now we move over to Epsilon unfixed. Looks like he's trying to defend his corners, and we'll see if we can find out. As Asterix, obviously the clutch player from earlier, we're watching to see what he's doing, as now we're looking at the A point flash, and there we go.
Reacto basically just shut down an entire Epsilon push onto A. He took out 2 people completely by himself, and this is going to keep the ticket bleed in uMAV's favour. That was really, really important at this juncture in the game. If he hadn't got that, he was caught completely by surprise. 2 Epsilon players caught him from complete surprise. He managed to take down both of them both. And that is really important. That keeps the ticket bleed in their favour, and that is so important right now.
Oh, uMAV Reactor being finished off at the A point, as you can see now. It looks, fortunately for him, Asterix was nearby and actually was in a position to support him. As you can see, obviously now the bleed still remaining against Epsilon, 191 tickets to 173. So currently it's in the favour. Oh, nasty.
Epsilon committed 3 people to the attack on A. Meanwhile, uMAV were still holding 3 people at C, but weren't doing anything. They should have been making a push out onto B, which they've done now, but they could have done it a lot sooner. They still keep a ticket bleed. They moved at the correct time. They didn't wait too long, but they could have done it a lot faster when they realised A was being overrun.
Looks like we're having a slight graphical glitch when it comes to watching uMAV Reacto, so it's possible he may be trying to escape from the Matrix. We'll have to wait and see how that turns out. As we can see, Asterix literally defending that right building, or right section of the building, and you can see Epsilon moving in and then being taken down by a nice attack from his teammate, and you can see now 2 Easy's being finished off. Winghaven gets outflanked, and Asterix doing a great job of potentially tying up the Epsilon guys over by that corner of the building. Now obviously Unfixed staying in a advantageous position here so that his teammates can spawn on him, and we're looking at 146 tickets to 188. Now the question is, are Epsilon down by 1 member again? Looks like Mort has dropped from the server. This is going to be a serious problem for them, as there we go, that looks to be like a possible total wipe for Epsilon. And what is strange is I'm not seeing uMAV actually pushing that advantage and trying getting a full burn onto A.
I don't want to second guess it, but Epsilon are getting very sloppy. They might really not be happy with the fact that one of their players has just dropped out. But right now, uMAV is taking a commanding lead. They have been winning fights in really important places, which has been keeping that bleed consistently in their favour. Right now, Epsilon need to bash. It doesn't matter if it's a 4v5 right now. uMAV were able to do it 4v5. Epsilon should be able to do it, and it all comes down to this push on B right now. They need to get a handle of it quickly.
So we're following 2 Easies. He's making his way in through the point. You can see, there we go, turning to fire, killing Juby almost immediately, and now you can see it looks like the push onto B has been successful, as we're continuing to follow 2 Easy, making his way over to the next point. Mort leading the charge into C. 2 Easy probably going to move in and back him up. Mort gets taken down, but he's obviously traded one enemy for a kill, but unfortunately that may not be enough, and we're noticing that 2 Easy is remaining in place to support his teammate as Valu moves in. There we go, Valu taking down 2 members of uMAV, taking Unfixed with a little bit of a shot paddle, and now basically it looks like they're pushing up, and the bleed is now working in Epsilon's favour, 122 to 166. Interesting.
Is indeed. Epsilon now have got the hold they needed, which is to hold A and B. They really need to keep this bleed on their favour for as long as possible. If they ever let uMAV get a hold like that again, they will find themselves out of the very first test cup.
Yeah, it looks like, my apologies guys, it looks like we're commentate on the action as this is actually turning out. You can see 32 around tickets difference between Epsilon and uMAV, and you can see a little bit of spam coming in from Unfixed from one of the office windows as Valu moves in to support him. It looks like he's going to watch his left flank. Oh, look at that. Oh, Unfixed getting absolutely butchered to pieces there, as that was very nasty, and it looks like he's then come in and gets a quick squad revive. So that was Winghaven there managing to capture the point, and just for a brief moment they had a full domination cap onto all of those points. Dogbert.
They're probably still going to keep it as well. Epsilon, oh no they're not, they're going to lose C, but it's all about B here, and it's just 2 on, it's a 3v3 fight now. I think it's all over the place. It's such a difficult one. uMAV should probably be able to take this one here, but more Epsilon players are starting to respawn, and I think that was the last of the Epsilon players here, and it all comes down to this push onto C now. Epsilon need to start getting this bleed away from them. They are at least 30 tickets down here.
Oh, Winghaven there taken down from the stairwell, and now moving in with Too Easy, who's taking a lot of fire.
It looks like they're going back for B, but they've got players all over the place. They've got 1 at C, they've got 1 at B, and they have 3 at A. So they're going to have to take A. That's going to be a given. They can't lose out there. But it's at B where they are going to find themselves in the biggest trouble. They need to rotate quick to get to B.
Now we're watching as you can see fire going in and grenades going in as Reacto taking down Unfixed as he tried to push in towards the B point. And you can see Reacto doing a fantastic job. You can see him looking at that 13 and 5, going to try and get Duke back up.
Keep your eye on Mort here. Mort is going to be the decider here. Mass spawn by Epsilon, 3 players onto C. No one alive at C. Both guys have gone down. Duke
That's
is
a
the
total
closest
wipe.
person to the point. If he rushes there now, he's going to be able to capture this flag. He hasn't seen it though, and they're still waiting around B. At this point, Epsilon are going to have a mass spawn over at A. They're going to recapture A at some point, but Juki here and the rest of the uMAV team should be making a push onto C, but they didn't communicate the fact that they had wiped each other out at C, and that leaves an open flag with no one trying to take it.
Oh, Reacto getting 2.
If uMAV can hold at A here, they will win the game, but they really should be spreading out.
Yeah, sorry Dog, but Reacto getting a couple of very key kills over by the A point, taking down 2 members of Epsilon as they tried to push up to that point. And now you can see the likes of Winghaven and friends moving in. Looks like Mort's already down. And you can see 48 tickets looking for Epsilon and 121 tickets for uMAV. This is a pretty serious situation as far as Epsilon are concerned. They need to turn this around very quickly, as now we can see the likes of uMAV Reacto trying to defend that B point. There we go, taking down Too Easy. He finishes off Too Easy, gets finished off almost as quickly. And now we can see, as we follow in, Mayek being finished off. Unfixed will move over to Unfixed as he's trying to move in towards that B point, supporting Value. There we go, a little bit of fire into Reacto, and then some more fire. There we go, nice kill there by Unfixed, and another one, a triple kill by Unfixed as he's managing to take that B point. That was a key amount of kills there coming in from Unfixed. From Epsilon, more nades going up.
Duke managed to shut down an Epsilon push onto C in a 1-on-1 situation. Unfixed doing the big work at B, but Duke managing to do the exact same thing over at C. But this leaves a good advantage for Epsilon here. They just need to get a hold of these 2 flags. They can let this bleed go down right now, and it's all about if uMAV can make their push onto A quick. Are they going to commit to a push onto B, or are they going to go for A? They're going to go for A. They need A now. It's only Mort defending. Mort takes down 1. He gets taken out as uMAV have spawned another 2, 3 in there. If Epsilon are clever here, they're going to try and make a push onto C, but it looks like they want a 1-on-1. They're going to go 3 versus 3 at A, and it looks like they're going to clear it up, and that's 4 people moving onto A now. And Epsilon going to have the bleed, but they're going to need to keep a hold of it here. Otherwise, they're going to find themselves out of this cup.
Yeah, now that's obviously an important thing, because obviously with that bleed then in their favour, one thing they're going to be careful is not to give away any kind of silly deaths or anything like that, not take any kind of unnecessary risks. As there we go, Reacto taking down 2 members of the Epsilon team, finally then getting finished off, as Juby is the only one left standing. So we're now watching Juby at the moment, the last man standing up against multiple members of Epsilon as they are now moving towards. They've still got that bleed in their favour. It's ticking down. 84 tickets, 34 are being held by Epsilon. So it is
Watch Mort here. Mort and Too Easy are going to be the 2 men defending A. They can hold A here. They're going to push the ticket bleed ahead, and they are taking people down. Reactor is the only one, and he's out. While this is going on, Doobie is sitting at sea, playing no part in this game at all.
Oh no.
At the same time, they are slowly but surely losing their ticket bleed. While they were so far ahead like this, they should have been as aggressive as they could, and they should have been pushing into B. But instead, they're shell-shocked. They're ahead. They don't know what they're doing. They need to get into these flags. They need to get into the flag points.
They lost a man. They lost a man off the server. Asterix crashed just at the crucial moment.
They need to be spending time getting into the flag zones and not too much time going around, a long way around. They need to get into these flag points. Epsilon now are in a good defensive position at A and B, and they need to sledgehammer their way into B right now.
Yeah, that was so desperately unlucky for the uMAV guys to lose Asterix at such a key moment in the battle when they were capable of getting that bleed and holding that bleed against Epsilon, and to be robbed from a possible victory and possibly knocking Epsilon out of this cup is just so desperately unlucky. I do feel for those guys.
Here we go. uMAV are putting all their eggs into one basket, and that's the B flag. And it's only Valaja and Unfix holding the fort now. Are they going to survive, or are they going to be taken out? Unfixed, I think, no, they got revived, so it's 2 men still in the flag, but they're going up against a 4-man uMAV team in B. uMAV just need to get on the flag point. That's all they need to do at this point.
Ooh. Yeah, now you can see Reactor being taken down from multiple directions, unfixed in there, and you can see him being taken down very quickly. Look at that scoreboard, 29 to 45 currently, with China, the Reactor being taken down by 2 as he tries to get up the stairs. Asterix currently a corpse in the main foyer, and this is not looking good as far as uMAV are concerned.
Back to A, he's going to find himself, the critical battle here is going to be A. Instead of Epsilon pushing onto C, they're throwing everyone at A, and they're going to catch uMAV completely off guard here, because they expected to push to C. They committed 3 people to a defense of C, leaving only 2 to defend A, and that is a 4v1 situation over A.
Ooh.
And that is going to leave Epsilon with the ticket bleed completely. uMAV need to move very quickly and get as many people onto B as they can, otherwise this ticket bleed is going to go against them. Remember, there is 10 tickets in this game. If uMAV can just get a bit more of a lead there, this is what they need. They've got B, they've got C. They just need to get this bleed in their favour for a little bit more, and they will win this game. But it doesn't matter, because Too Easy comes in and clears up at B. Epsilon are going to slowly but surely take the lead away from uMAV, unless Asterix here can do his work at A.
So let's see if we can find out, as Asterix currently appears to be dead as a doornail. Let's find out, let's see if we can lock in on him, as he's now moving in towards the B point, taking a little bit of fire. Oh, taken out before he can even get into that central section, as Unfixed currently, and the Reacto being taken down, as Unfixed manages to take down Reacto, and Winghaven, the only man left standing for Epsilon, as other members of Epsilon now spawn on him and move in towards the C point. You can see there the bleed still with China, and it's down to 18 tickets to 10.
It's going to be everything. If Epsilon can get in here and take the flag, they will win the game. But if they get stopped here, they are going to lose.
Okay, you can see there's 17 tickets to 5 at the moment. You can see the fire coming in. Asterix taking down Winghaven. Mort being also taken down as well. Last man in the squad. 3 tickets left for the Russian team.
That is it. uMAV win the series 17 to 10.